Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is Nour Elborno from Gaza, Palestine. And this is the second episode of Writing Picks and Tricks. So let's begin. If you haven't watched the first episode, I advise that you do, and then you come to this video next. So what are we supposed to do after what we said in the first video? Yes, keeping some suspense so that you'd actually go and watch it. Now, how do I structure my essay or paragraph before I actually begin? Everything I'm going to say in this video is going to be before the actual process of writing. So we are still in the pre-writing stage. What you need to know is that you need a general topic to address. You need three main ideas or more. Why do we say three? Because you probably know that the most famous type of essays is the 5-paragraph essay, introduction, 3 body paragraphs, and the conclusion. Like I said, the most famous type, but there are other types of essays where you need to have more than 3 key ideas. You might need even 5, 6, or 7, depending on the length and the type of assignment that you're doing or the type of work that you're doing. Then for each main idea, you're going to need what we call supporting ideas. If you remember in the first video, we said we usually write for 3 reasons: to inform, to persuade, or to influence. In order to achieve any of these 3 objectives or goals or aims, we're going to need what we call supporting ideas, and this is what we're going to mention briefly today, because we're going to discuss it in detail, inshallah, in future videos. Your topic should not be too general, nor should it be too narrow, and let's explain that. How do I know if my topic is too general or too specific? If you can further specify it, then it's still general. If you can't further specify it, it's too narrow. What we need to do is that we need to make sure that our topic is general enough to produce more ideas, 3 or more, but not too specific to the extent that I cannot support it with other ideas. So let's have an example. The siege imposed on Gaza, the effects of the siege imposed on Gaza, how the siege affects the Palestinians, these are all too general and cannot be considered as a main idea. They can be considered, however, as a general idea or the general focus of our work. And why do we say that they are too general? When you think about the siege that is imposed on Gaza, there are so many aspects that we can discuss. Now, I want you to think of the essay as not being, I don't want you to think of it as a piece of land that is so big and can include so many types of trees and fruits, nor can it be a plant so small, so limited. So it should be a tree that can bear apples, for example, and another tree that can bear bananas, and a third tree that can bear lemons. The idea is that you want 3 trees that bear fruits, have leaves, big enough to give support, to give evidence, to give proof, and fruitful. But at the same time, they shouldn't be too general as a big open land that has all kinds of fruits and vegetables and so on. Now, how can it be too narrow? The closure of the borders prevents students in Gaza from continuing their education abroad. This isn't a main idea. This is a supporting idea, which means it can be considered itself as evidence, but not as a topic to be discussed. I think it's going to be clearer now when we give an example for what might be considered as a suitable topic. If we look at the second paragraph, the siege, or not paragraph, the second point, the siege affects education in the Gaza Strip. Now I'm highlighting the main ideas that I'm going to discuss. So the general idea, the general aspect, is the effects of siege on education in the Gaza Strip. But the 3 aspects that I'm going to discuss, the 3 trees are The schools are not well equipped, the students are not allowed to travel abroad, and the teachers are not paid well. My job here is to link between the main or the general idea and the main ideas, which are, or this is how we link it. I'm going to explain how or why the schools are not well equipped in relation to the siege and how this as a process affects education in the Gaza Strip. Now, before we move to how I can make notes and how to write down these notes, what kind of supporting ideas should I look for? I'm going to mention these in brief because we're going to discuss them, inshallah, in detail when we discuss the writing process itself. You're going to need quotations by influential or high-profile people. And in brief, we need quotations because if somebody who is in power, who has authority, said something that supports your claim, that supports your idea, the people will be more open to believing you, hence achieving the to persuade part. People are going to trust you. They're going to trust taking information from you because you're not hiding anything from them. So you're going to inform them. And the third one is that, so we said persuade, inform, influence. Sometimes when they read something you've written and you have used quotations that support you, it's going to end up with, or for, I forgot what I was saying. Anyway, so I think we understand that quotations are important. Sometimes you're going to need statistics, and that means numbers. By numbers, we mean you can bring percentages, maybe, ratios, maybe, rates. These kind of figures make people believe that you're not just telling me things, you're showing me surveys, you're showing me questionnaires, you're showing me results, numbers. Sometimes you might need to use a real story, what we call an anecdote. And I don't want to spend so much time here because we're going to take them in detail. We're going to discuss them in detail. But what you need to know is that sometimes some kind of topics are going to require you using real life stories. For example, if we're talking about students who were prevented from traveling, it would be really good to support your work with a name, a real story, something that really happened so that people would feel that, okay, so it's not just 5,000 students or 100 students. It's a person whose name so-and-so was deprived from going, and that is because of the occupation. Sometimes you're going to need definitions, historical facts, general truths, videos, podcasts. I'm going to keep this. I don't want to spoil the future videos we're going to be recording together. So keep in mind that we're going to come back to these. So take notes, have them somewhere in your notebook so that, inshallah, when we discuss them, you remember them. So in the first video, we said the first thing you do before you write is that you read. So now that I am done reading, I have gone through the podcasts, I have gone through the definitions, I have gone through the quotations. The kind of information that I have come up with in relation to the first point is that the construction materials and funding necessary for enhancing the schools are not available. So here, I am giving evidence for the reader that we say the schools are not well equipped because of the occupation, because of the siege. Why? Because we can't have the necessary construction materials and funding. Without the materials and the funding, I can't improve the schools. Who's causing all of this? The siege. So this sentence, this piece of information helps the reader believe you more and trust you more because you're giving them real information. It would be really good to say, for example, what kind of construction materials. But like I said, we're not really writing yet. So this is us preparing for the actual writing. So in the actual writing, we're going to see, inshallah, that this sentence as a supporting sentence is not enough. It requires additional information that makes it more believable, that makes it more trustworthy. Now, in the second point, we see that the Ministry of Education said so and so. So this quotation is good because I'm quoting an official governmental body, an entity. And again, it makes you more believable. About 70% of the schools need so and so. Well, the siege has prevented so and so. Again, here the figures, the percentages are of great help. They make the readers trust you. They know that you're not just telling them stuff, you're not selling them words, you're giving them real numbers. So here's something you can do. Try planning for the second item. The students are not allowed to travel abroad, but I want you to give me like detailed information of what you're going to write here. You can add them in the comments section, and I'm going to try, inshallah, to review them and give you feedback if possible. And I'm hoping that you did learn anything today. And I'm sorry for the part that when I said I forgot because my mobile, there was notification on my mobile. Okay, and unnecessary information. I hope you had fun. I hope you learned something, and see you in our next video.